Welcome to a very special episode of Instalock Mid, episode 007, Mid, Instalock Mid. As always, I am Motgnarom here with Renzler
What up?
and Aliwicious,
Hello, everybody.
and we're here with another great episode of community greatness, League of Legend greatness, skin greatness, all sorts of greatness for you this week. Aloysius, how's your week been going?
Awesome. Tons of work. Got to play some really good league games. Overall, kind of a mundane week. Nothing super exciting, but, you know.
Very nice. Renzler?
Well, been working a lot. Played lots of week over the weekend, Saturday. Sunday, played some more league games on Monday night. And all that stuff is on YouTube. So I said I would mention it, and I just mentioned it. I played 13 games in the course of 2 days and did pretty well. So I'm stoked.
Cool. Very nice. I've had a good week. I'm trying my hand at streaming for the first time, but my computer can't quite take it. So
Yeah, it's all
hopefully,
CPU.
yeah, hopefully if and when I ever get a better computer, I'll be able to have a nice stream going. Yeah, no, it was a good week, nice and productive with work, and we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. So let's get right into it. So this week we had some good league news. We have the August patch notes out. A bunch of stuff coming out with this, actually, a good amount of information. For me in particular, I'm very happy to see the Cho'Gath. I don't know whether or not to call it a buff yet or a debuff or whatever, but some really cool stuff there. His Rupture, which is his knock-up, that got fixed where the cast time was for some reason happening randomly. So that was changed up and made better and more consistent. The Feral Scream rather, his cast time for that was reduced. Vorpal Spikes, which I'm really excited about, the width now increases based on Cho'Gath's size. Now I don't know, I didn't look too much into it to find out if that actually changes like the hitbox per se, or if that's just a visual remake. But I think either way, that's pretty cool. And then the range on Feast gets increased, which I think is great.
Yeah, that's a pretty good size buff there, too.
Yeah, I mean Shogoth as a character is kind of a get in your face and just take a bunch of damage anyway. Getting a nice little bit of range will definitely help the chase from those level 1 to 6, or at least until you get level 2 boots. You guys find anything interesting about this patch?
Well, I saw that on Evelyn on Shadow Walk as a passive. When you're being dealt periodic damage, won't prevent her from re-stealthing. So that's interesting.
Oh, nice.
Hitting her with something that works sort of like a dot in an MMO won't prevent her from hitting stealth again. So that gives her a better chance of getting away.
And especially stuff like Ignite, I think.
Yeah, that's what it
that
mentions.
doesn't count,
Precisely.
right? So that'll be, I think, good for Evelyn's out there trying to sneak away after being ignited.
And they also lowered the cooldowns on Agony's Embrace as well by quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a pretty hefty proportion. I'm wondering how they're gonna deal with that with the dot no longer keeping the stealth. I'm wondering how that's gonna work out for champions that are heavily dot based. Stuff like Cassiopeia and some of the bleeds. I'm wondering how that's gonna play out. So I look forward to really testing it to its limits. Especially given the fact that they've now reduce the duration that it takes to re-stealth.
Yes.
So I think it's very interesting to make both those changes in one patch.
Yeah, they cut that down by
Right.
2 seconds. So what I see is that you'll get less ganks because they'll be stealth if they're out of vision range. And it also means that if you really want her dead, you have to chase her and keep her within your actual sight range.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. Is you have to keep that in mind that she's not going to be able to stealth right in front of your face and walk away. She's got to be out of your vision
Right.
range.
Or that
So
of a turret or creeps.
right, and then any kind of wards or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, no, it'll be definitely interesting to see how Evelyn comes out when she goes live with this patch. I saw just in my personal experience playing League these past couple weeks, that post-patch there was an excess of Evelynn, Twitch, and Zen players, but recently the amount of people, it's kind of gone back down to normal. I still occasionally see her in a match, but there hasn't been too many, at least in normal play. I don't play ranked games, so it may be a different situation over on that side of the fence. I don't know. I haven't seen too much of her.
I don't think there's really been that much of her. I think it was kind of ooh, Eve's maybe better now.
Right.
And there are a few things, and I think it's better than it was. I think it still just needs a little bit of love and tweaking before it's really there again.
Sure. I'm especially excited about the Tribunal reform cards. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the Tribunal is a system where when you're level 30 and you are reported in a game, your case, so to speak, goes to a crowdsourced sort of jury. Your case is reviewed with all the chat logs and information from the game by a set of players, and the players then decide your fate. And the incentive on the player's end is you get IP, and there's a bunch of methods of control for whether or not your punishment goes in or not. But it's a really nice system where it sort of adds accountability to the players who are, basically bastards in the game. Now, the great thing is that what we have coming out now is a reform card, which basically, if you are brought up on the tribunal and you are found guilty for whatever infraction you have, they're actually going to send you a card with the information saying, like, hey, this is what you did, this is what you were reported for, and this is what your peers have decided is your punishment. So hopefully that will add a little bit more level of accountability. Should be cool.
There's actually one change that I'd still like to see, and I know that it was recently kind of talked about with its relevance to Dota, but I think would be very exciting. Would actually be the feedback to players that have reported. I know that it's a little bit of a sadistic kind of way to have that, but to know that when I've reported somebody, it makes me feel a little bit better knowing that they did get what was coming to them, for whatever their transgressions were.
Right. Now, from what perspective are you referencing this from? Are you talking like if you're on the tribunal?
Yes, if you're on the tribunal and you elect to punish someone, I would like to see some notification to the players that partook in that tribunal to say, like, hey, you reported and we listened, and here's how that played out.
See,
so
I would
here's
want
the
it.
ban.
I agree with that, but I would also want it if I was the person who reported them. So I just played a game with a terrible person.
Right.
He was being a douche or a racist or whatever, and I report him. I would want an email knowing your case has been taken to tribunal. This is the result.
That would be, I think.
There you go.
That would be great. Yeah, I've obviously haven't been sent to that yet, but if that did happen, I'd like that, and I haven't reported anybody, but that could change today. Who knows?
Well, right, and what you find is that the majority of the reason of why you're reporting somebody is, at least for me, it's because they've gone AFK. And now I believe it does actually, if the person leaves the game or quits, it auto-reports them, which is kind of nice. Yeah.
That's great.
But I don't know if those minor cases go to tribunal or not, so that'll be interesting.
I mean, they can't go over everything.
Right. All right. So anything else from this patch that you guys think is good, great, better?
I'm excited about the Rammus buff. I know it isn't really a ton, but Rammus now getting the magic resist per level. I think it's pretty fair to say that most people have kind of recognized that Rammus is a very strong anti-AD carry kind of champion.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that little sequence of nerfs that came to him in the past has now kind of sat. People have brewed a little bit, and I think they've seen a significant decrease in the play and use of Rammus. Yeah. And I remember playing Rammus a lot. His ganks are a lot of fun, coming out in Powerball with a taunt, and he was a very good champion, and I was sad when I think it was 2 or 3 patches in a row where he saw a few little nerfs, and it finally got to the point where there were just better tanks out there.
Yeah, he's got that Rammus swag.
Yeah.
So I saw updates to Xin Zhao. So basically they have nerfed and buffed him at the same time. His base attack damage got nerfed by 3.7, and his attack damage per level increased to 3.3 from 3. What that means is your early game is now a little bit weaker, but as soon as you hit level 14 plus, that's where that attack per level increase kicks in. That's when, because you're being buffed 3.7, and at level 14, your bonus is now 3.9. So everything above that is gravy. So end game, higher level end game for Xin Zhao has now been buffed a little bit.
Nice. Cool. All right, so moving on. A little bit of sad news, to be honest. We won't be seeing any Summer Olympics 2012 skins.
Oh, see, there were 2 skins I was looking for. I wanted the water polo boob slip skin, and I wanted the Michael Phelps diving cap skin, and I can't get either.
What was it? I think it was a Mumu has a skin, an Olympic-like skin. That's really cool.
Is it the British? Is it the British uniforms that were? Let's see. The material came from Malaysia and they were built in China.
No, he's all colored in Olympic colors, and we've seen in the past a lot of theme skin to the season. We saw some holiday skins, but they basically came out and said that they're not going to make an Olympic skin, and they're not going to be picking up on all of these seasonal events. So,
Boo.
I'm a little bummed out about that, but in turn, we got some really cool skins announced this week. The Rageborn Mundo skin and the Battlecast Cho'Gath skin.
Hey, you said it correctly the first time this time.
Super pumped about. Oh, I'm so excited. I really like the Rageborn Mundo skin. It reminds me of, in a funny way, the orc character from Dota 2. He looks exactly like it. I don't know if
Let
you
me
guys
see.
have
I'm
played
looking at
Dota 2
a
yet.
full res photo of it. I think that's cool.
No,
Yeah,
it looks
I like
it
that.
looks awesome.
I'm not a
It
Mundo
definitely
player,
looks
but I
awesome.
think that looks really cool. That may be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
He looks really legit.
I really like it when a skin kind of goes above and beyond the original design intentions of the character and kind of gives them like a different look altogether. Because some of the other, like Corporate Mundo and Executioner Mundo, they're both really good skins, but it kind of follows the same sort of look and feel. But I think the Rageborn skin really takes it out and makes him something
I
different.
have a comment to make about that skin. Are you looking at the page, the Brutalizer
Yeah.
Enemy link page? Okay, take a look at the pose that he's in and the face and the proportion to the body that he's in on that main picture. And on the YouTube people, you'll see this picture up on your screen right now. If you turn him blue, doesn't he look like the genie from Aladdin? Doesn't that totally look like the genie? Well, genies has smaller hands, but that's
Right.
totally a genie from Aladdin pose right there.
Yeah, I like that. I never noticed that before.
And of course, now I have to break copyright and put up an Aladdin picture of the genie in that sort of pose, so you people have context. But that's the first thing I see from that.
Draw it in paint. They'll get it.
Stick figure.
The Battlecast Cho'Gath skin, though. Oh, wow. Does that look awesome? Riot has been teasing us all week with announcements, and they sent out an audio file where it's all these crazy people like screaming like, "Oh my God, we found these plans. You got to analyze them, see if there's a weakness." And then you just hear Cho'Gath coming out in the background. And then through some analysis done by Surrender at 20, the .net, the blog, love those guys there. They did a breakdown and found out that in the background they have this lines of code, and in these lines of code they match up to the asset IDs of champions for the artwork. And you see that Cho'Gath is listed along with Zenarith and Urgot, who both have Battlecast skins already. And then you see additionally Skarner, Anivia, and Kog'Maw along with those other three names. So it's safe to say that in the future we are going to be seeing a Battlecast Skarner, Battlecast Anivia, and a Battlecast Kog'Maw, which, my opinion, Battlecast Kog'Maw will probably be the coolest artillery thrower or something crazy like that.
I would enjoy it in a really funny way if it was just total one of those dog bones that is kind of tossed off in a random direction, like, oh yeah, we'll just mention some champion names and people are waiting for it, and it just never happens.
Or it was a complete accident in the just diving.
They're
Oh,
like,
you
"Oh,
silly
really?
data
They're-
miners! I'll
they're
keep you
going
busy for
nuts with
days."
We had some awesome tournaments this weekend, or I should say tournament this past weekend. The European Challenger Circuit just wrapped up. The final match saw CLG Europe, I believe that's the team, EU, and Moscow 5 battle it off, and we just saw Moscow 5 dominate. They both teams played very, very well.
Cue the
But
Rickroll music.
Moscow 5 really had their stuff together and pulled out an awesome win. It was actually my first tournament that I watched all the way through. I'm not a huge ranked player. I'm not a huge follower of the tournament scene, but I decided now that we're doing this podcast, I might as well check it out, and it was really, really good.
I don't know if you guys paid attention to the little bit of drama that happened surrounding the Riot post after the tournament. You know, the little write-up about Moscow 5 winning, and in kind of a funny way, I'm not sure if the writer intended it to come out like this, but Moscow 5 made a little bit of a PR statement and did say that they didn't like the fact that the writer from Riot was showing a little bit of bias and insinuating in his post that CLG might not have won because they had a farther flight, and they were saying that they weren't able to get over the jet lag and all this stuff, and in kind of a funny way, Moscow 5 said, just to let you know, at this level of play, it's kind of disrespectful to both us and them. You know, they've beaten us before, we've beaten them before. They're both very good teams. You know, we don't appreciate that. And then I believe the first comment to that post, I want to say it was posted on Reddit. The first comment to that post was from CLG saying, "Hey, we're CLG. We agree. Moscow 5 was just on their game that day. They brought their A game and we didn't. And they deserved the win and they played well." So it was kind of cool to see that it wasn't one-sided and that CLG was just as much kind of disheartened by what I would say is kind of a distasteful post on Riot's behalf.
Right. And who knows what the context was when they wrote that or who was speaking for who, but it's really good to see that these guys are definitely professionals and not just kind of creepy, screaming, nerdy people who make a butt ton of money playing video games. I was reading over an interview with Saint Vicious, and he was commenting that he makes almost the same amount of money as a doctor, which is just insane.
Awesome.
I mean, you're good. It's a level of dedication to be a professional gamer, period.
People have
And,
no idea, dude. People have no idea.
It's crazy. Props to them. I mean, even to get to the Challenger circuit and have all those people watch your games and, you know, care, and these people right now are pushing the esports industry forward, and they're really what's propelling it. I mean, and we've already identified that League of Legends is the most played game in the world right now, and these are the people who are kind of the driving force in really making that happen. So, you know, it's a crazy level of commitment, and they're doing really great things
So
with
I say
it.
props to them.
Yeah, good on you guys. Good on you, Jimmy. Good on you. And in the like, we have MLG Summer Arena coming up this weekend, the 3rd to the 5th. We're going to see Team Black, Team Curse North America, TSM, and Azubu Blaze. That's the last time I checked. Those are going to be the teams in it. So we will be watching that, and we'll probably have a little bit about it next week. It's not going to be a habit of ours to comment too much on the pro scene. None of us here on Instalock Mid are professional League of Legends players. We are decently talented to casual players. And
I have to contest that. I am a professional noob. That is
there
all.
you go. Renzler is the
I'm a pro noob.
the skinniest kid at fat camp, so to speak.
Yes.
Wow.
I'll take that. That's okay. That's all right.
No, I mean, we will talk about Zero to Hero Renzler in a little bit. Yeah, no, you're definitely getting up there. Yeah, so it's not going to be a habit of ours to really comment too much on the pro scene and on, you know, professional level analysis. It's not our forte. We want to focus more on the community and what it's providing and the game itself. So yeah, other podcasts are out there doing the pro scene better than we are, and can operate at the professional level better than we can. So, you know, same same theme, just different aspects of the game. So we saw some new features added actually just today, and this one kind of crept up on everyone, but I think it's possibly the biggest enhancement to the well, not the biggest enhancement. I misspoke there. It's the coolest enhancement in my
Biggest enhancement
opinion
ever.
to the game in quite some time. It's the new AFK detection system. Now that's the reason why they made this change is for AFK players and a method to prevent against them. But what this mechanic is it adds when you go to queue into a game, once you're queued up for a game, an accept or decline button, which I hated it when you queued by accident or you queued into the wrong thing.
Oh no, it popped. It
Yeah,
popped. No, 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 no.
No choice. You're stuck in
You
that.
basically
worry.
have to exit out of the game. You have to kill the executable and start over.
Yeah,
No,
and
what you have to do is you have to insta-lock with Eve and revive and teleport.
lock mid.
And then just call mid and be like, "Yep, game
Mid.
disbanded."
Yeah, and then if that isn't working, just go in and be like, "Oops, don't have the runes or masteries. Sorry, guys."
No,
Yeah.
no, you gotta dodge. If you can't do it, you gotta Q dodge. As much as I don't support it, but if there's necessity, you gotta Q dodge. Don't do that to people. At least don't let it get to the game, 'cause then you're
'cause
kind of a
then-
douche.
Exactly, and you'll get reported, and people get pissed off, and
Yeah.
it's never good.
Doesn't go well.
So the other side of this update is that champions cannot be selected until every player has accepted the game. I haven't had a chance to play the game yet today since I've been home.
I haven't played it all today. I actually just loaded the game up to make sure I patched to get the champion prices, things like that.
Yeah. And maybe that might slow things down a little bit. I don't know. I guess we'll see and find out. But I think overall, this is a great addition. Just a very simple addition, but a great addition to the game to make the usability, non-gameplay usability better. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
I agree. I think it could be. I think it's a super helpful feature, and I hope that features like this just come to keep making it better.
Yep.
You know.
Speaking of making the game better, one of my favorite aspects of video games, the lore. We're going to be seeing a huge lore update to League of Legends. As far as I've heard, it's across the board. We'll be getting new champion biographies. The lore will be tweaked slightly, minor details. They're gonna tie into each other better. They're going to tie into their locations better, where they're from, and it's just overall going to be a huge buff to the lore of the game. And to me that's really exciting. It adds a really cool level to each champion when they come out, to find out, what they're all about and what they represent, and to see how the abilities tie into that. I know a lot of people really hopped onto this whole Leona versus Diana thing, and a bunch of people, at least on Twitter, have changed their avatars to whichever side, the sun or the moon, they're picking. And I just think it's awesome. It's, I feel like at first it was not really a huge part of the game, but over time, when they started bringing new champions in that were involved with other champions, people really picked up on it and were really receptive.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely. So, moving on, that's all we have for news this week.
All right, everybody. Renzler here, Zero to Hero. You know it. You love it. I played a ton of games between Saturday and Monday. I played 13 games, and for me, that's a ton. So, thanks, Google Docs. I hate you. Anyway, I played 13 games, and I've actually uploaded 12 or 11 of them to YouTube. Game 1 had an unrecoverable audio problem. Simply couldn't fix it, and therefore it's staying on my hard drive, where it will die a slow, bit-crushing death at the hands of a failing hard disk. Anyway, the other 11 games are up on YouTube right now, and all the navigation works. They're in a playlist, so just hit that while you're working and just enjoy listening to somebody completely fail at League of Legends. But I have to say, I don't remember what the last 3 games were, but the first 10 games I went 5-5. And
Nice.
no bot games, 0.
There you go.
Nice.
I have
wow.
chosen, I am not playing bot games ever again. I am playing against real people, and I will take the flak. I don't care. So
Wow. Awesome.
we played 4 or 5 games with an actual group after I completely managed to rickroll 2 players on the same team. That's game 7. They stuck around, and we played a few more games. So
Nice.
those are up on there. And I think I'm doing better. I'm getting my item build is still kind of all over the place. It really depends on what the enemy is doing. And I know that I need to get a build pretty solidified that's not so reactive, but it has been working because I went 5-5 out of 10 games, and I think it was 2 wins and a loss in the last 3. But
Nice.
the point is that I can tell that I'm getting better and things are improving. I'm really happy for that.
Good.
And so that's really my update for this week. So I will be playing a lot. I'm trying to play every night because up until today I've been releasing 2 videos a day since Monday, and now I'm out of games to upload. So I just need to, we're going to be playing a game after the podcast recording, but if anybody wants to play, my tag is going to be in the description on the YouTube video. And I'm SG Renzler, just SG space Renzler. Motgnarom is Motgnarom, and Aliwicious is Aliwicious. So the names are all in the YouTube description anyway, and it's actually in the iTunes description as well. So if you need the spelling, it's there. And we'll play community games. I don't know if we'll set up something officially, but hey, man, if you see me on, hit me up for an invite or something, and we'll play. So
Nice.
That's what
And
I
I know
for this week.
I'm usually, if you follow us on Twitter at Instalock Mid, I'm usually trolling around on Twitter, and anytime you want to play, just send me, mention us in a post, just send me a direct message, and we can get a game rolling. Aliwicious and I, at least, are usually on weeknights between like 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern Standard. So we're never opposed to playing with people, and I know we've been playing with Winnie a lot from LOL Girls, and been having a lot of fun with the people she usually plays with. So come on out, and we'll play some ARAM or something.
Awesome.
ARAM.
Speaking of Ramus and Rap,
this week's tip of the week is preparing for your jungler's success. Now, this is tips for not the jungler, him or herself, but the rest of the team, and what you guys need to do when the game is beginning to make sure that your jungler is fully ready to support you for the rest of the game. Because, well, that's what the jungler is there for. They're moving into lanes, they're making kills happen, and it can be very frustrating when a game is not going your way and the jungler isn't doing his job. And it's one thing if it's a poor jungler, but if it's another, if just from the beginning, if just from the beginning they weren't ready because the team didn't support them.
Yeah,
so
leash blue buff, do it.
Yeah, the first thing
freaking leash blue buff.
The first thing that you need to do is you need to be prepared to protect your jungle. Unless your team is rushing the other team's jungle, you need to be able to, if you're mid, move into the bush, be prepared to engage a team that may be trying to rush your jungle. And the things you're trying to focus on, if you're not familiar with the jungle, some junglers start at wolves, others start at blue, some crazy ones go for red. But, communicate with your jungler, find out where they're starting, and be prepared to protect them moving on into that position.
Yes.
Now you do want to, there's a very important note to that, so people want to be aware. Just some fancy things that you even actually saw that were commentated during the Poland tournament, the most recent tournament that we just saw. Stuff like when you're covering blue buff and you're watching, and you might be top lane, or you might be bottom lane, as it would so have it. So the ramp that leads from the river into that, you need to be at the edge of that, or at the edge of the curved river bush for mid lane. the being at the edge, that really provides you with a greater vision distance, a greater area of sight, and it also prevents stuff like having the enemy with a blitzcrank per se, having them come around and potentially pulling you and you not even seeing it. So being out there gives you a much better distance. It keeps you safer as a protective idol to your jungler, and it's just an all-around better tactic. And I know a lot of people just like to go and stand in the bush, but being in that bush without the right sight is more of a danger to you and your jungler than it is if you weren't there at all. So be aware of where you're standing, and don't just AFK alt tab. Don't do that. Seen that happen plenty of times. Be ready.
Right. Now the problem with not doing this very important stage of the prep for the game is that if you lose your jungle, if let's say they're rocking a Nunu and they're going to come in and steal your big wraith, or they get to your blue and kill it first, or they get you at wolves and kill a couple of your players, some junglers are rendered useless for more than a few levels. And especially if they have another jungler that has successfully engaged their jungle, you're now totally exposed, and it's an effect that takes a very long time to kind of wear off, and you're going to find yourself in the middle of a game probably pushed to your tower very, very quickly, and you're going to lack the ability to be able to defend from that.
You're describing one of the games I played. It was either 10 or 11, but the short story is they sent 2 guys over to assassinate me right when I got blue buff down. So it was a double bad for me. So I kill blue buff, I get blue buff. They jump out of the bushes, they gank me, I'm dead. So not only have I acquired and lost blue buff due to death, but now that thing is not going to respawn for however much time. And of course they left one of them alive, so I had to go back and kill it and then wait for the spawn timer to start.
Absolutely.
5 minutes.
So they were on me for a while. In fact, I have found out through my dozen games of playing that Warwick is basically useless until 6. I mean, that blue buff at the very beginning is really important. Well, here's what happens. You get a level right off the blue buff if someone leashes it for you. Then you get the Tweedledee and Tweedledum at the bottom part of the map. You go after the wraiths, and then you take out red, and you start rolling the jungle on that side, and of course watching for ganks and warding stuff. But that blue really sets off the whole tempo of the game. And honestly, I don't even engage anybody in a lane unless they're obviously low on health and I know I can just stop them like a security guard or something. But if I'm not level 6, I'm not really going into the lane besides passing across mid to get to the other half of the jungle.
Right. And it's
kind of
missing that blue buff is just going to totally reduce your overall speed, and it can make a difference in those first couple minutes of the game.
Kind of an interesting note, Motgnarom and I played a game where I was Nautilus, and we made a pretty poor decision to counter jungle. We were a 4-man pre-made. The not pre-made revealed when we were standing there prepared to ambush their leisure. They were aware of that. They moved accordingly. We didn't get first blood. We decided to stay and take their blue. I didn't use Smite in hopes that I could then give our blue in a little bit faster pace to our mid and really start off to a good advantage. Well, our pre-made decided not pre-made decided he was going to take blue buff. And then during my attempt as an Nautilus to go back and get our own, we were counter jungled in a much better way. And then both blue buffs went to not me as Nautilus, and the ability to jungle with Nautilus and no blue buff is cripplingly bad.
Yeah, right. Same with Warwick.
It's just not a situation you want to be in. Be prepared. Have people protect you.
So the caveat that goes along with that is as the protectors of the jungle, when the game has begun, minions have spawned, and at 140, when those wolves, if wolves is where you're beginning, starts, you really need to get a good burn on blue or on those wolves. Get those down as quickly as possible so the jungler can kind of have an accelerated start and get the advantage over the enemy jungle and really start working.
There's just one last thing that I think is pretty important to the pulling, and I think it's a very key feature that many people aren't aware of. Your job when you help a pull or when you help on wolves is to accelerate that jungling pace, but absolutely do not, under any circumstances, last hit that. Take that gold. Your jungler isn't going to get as much gold as you might last hitting it.
Oh, correct. Good point.
And 2, do not be in range for the experience. Get those things low. keep an eye on how much damage your jungler is doing, but do not last hit them and do not be in range for that experience. Otherwise, you're just gimping your jungler, and you've kind of hindered the benefit you were trying to provide him.
Good point. Very good point. Now, moving in later on into the game, no matter what your lane, in my opinion, mid, top, bottom, you need to be purchasing wards or having somebody to purchase wards. If you're bottom and you're rolling with a support, your support needs to have wards to prevent against enemy junglers, to prevent against ganks. Top should have a ward in their bush or in their river. And mid, I know it's kind of the mid nature to be the big AP carry, and you want to get the most expensive items as quickly as possible. But typically, since they can be so squishy, you really have to have wards for those jungles, because you are going to be a focus of the enemy jungler, and you don't want to be losing lanes and having your jungler to work harder to compensate for that, because you were getting avoidable deaths because you just wouldn't buy wards. So along with wards, a very important aspect is to really have a good control over your lane traffic. There's nothing worse to a jungler than a lane who's complaining about a lack of ganks when they're pushed up against the enemy turret for the whole game. If you want ganks to happen, you need to let your lane be pushed a little bit. You need to put your enemies in a position where you can gank them. You can have them be ganked easily by your jungle. Now, some junglers will have a better time lane ganking. Champions like Warwick post level 6, where he's got that awesome stun. Nautilus, where he can kind of rope them in, and Nocturne, where you can kind of come out of nowhere. But just keep in mind that the further the enemies are away from their turret, the longer it's going to take them to get back to it and be in safety. So don't be upset if you're pushing your lane the whole time and your jungler is ignoring you. Likewise, if your lane is getting dominated, you're just having a bad bottom lane, or your top's been killed a bunch of times, don't push far out. Don't expect that if you've lost a bunch of times that you might be able to survive this time. Let them come to your tower. Let them be in that prime ganking position, and just keep in good communication. Let them know if you see their jungler moving about. Always be making note of your surroundings to your jungler, because they're not always going to be focusing on you and your lane.
Yeah, we're trying to get our stuff going. And just let me just inject one thing, if I could. 80% of the pubs that I was playing with on Saturday and Monday, you better listen to this cast, because listen to what Dude just said, because none of you besides 2 games were doing that. There, out of 13 games that I played, actually 12 are on YouTube, but 13th screwed up. Anyway, out of 13 games, I only got 3 leashes, and
that's unacceptable. It really is. You shouldn't have to ask. You shouldn't have to ping it and say leash blue. Your mid, if you're on the blue team, I believe the blue team is the southwest, the lower left-hand side.
Yeah.
Your top and mid should be in position to protect your jungle. Yeah. If you are, it's a little bit harder when you're purple in the upper right-hand side, because top and mid aren't in a great position for blue. And if your bottom is a good early gank team and they want to move into that lower bush, it can be difficult, but there's really no excuse not to be ready and to be in those positions. And it's a safety net. If something goes terribly wrong, it's because you got well played.
Yeah, I hear you. No, there was a lot of stuff that I had some guy trying to gank this dude so badly that he would eat those turrets like a buffet, man, just trying to get after this guy. It was horrible. He's like, no, I can get him. It's like, dude, you're dead. He's like, no, I'm not. Oh, crap, yeah. Been assassinated by a turret. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Another really nice thing for jungling, one of the things that I think people don't really keep real mention of, is how to kind of deal with it when your lane partner is either not staying in lane, doing a lot of roaming, or how to kind of manage when your lane is pushed. Maybe you're a really strong farmer like a Morgana. You constantly keep pushing that lane so that your enemy's losing XP under their turret or something like that. Kind of the two rules of engagement. One, be very clear on Mia's, and some people call them SS's. I'm not actually sure what the hell that means, but it's pretty synonymous with Mia or missing in action. So when you're calling those Mia's, you need to be aware that generally when your mid or your lane mate is going to try to gank somewhere else or go into the jungle, make them pay for it. Get those minions under their turret. Every single minion that turret kills is money you've taken away from them. And if you can take a tower, now that you know whether or not they get a kill on your bottom lane or mid or whatever lane they're in at, you know you're ensuring that the potential loss to your team isn't for nothing. So you're recouping something to try to even out maybe the golden differences or something along those lines will really keep you in a much better advantage point. So if your mid is in, you know, a LeBlanc and she loves to go and try to sneak kills on the AD carry or top, make her pay for it. When she leaves that lane, ward appropriately, and that's kind of a caveat to this, ward appropriately and push the hell out of it. Destroy her turret, force those minions to be burned up. You know, that's gold she's missing out on. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind as well.
Yeah, good point. So that's it for the tip of the week. Preparing for your jungler's success. It's an important part of the game. It's a part of the game that you should, once you get up to the higher levels and you're at level 30 at least, you need to be aware of, and you just need to do it on your own. It shouldn't have to be explained. It shouldn't have to be asked. So this week's community spotlight, Aliwicious found this kind of cool little website, boots3pots.net. Much to the chagrin of Severity Gaming, who is attempting a similar project, Boots 3 Pots is a web network that basically you fill out your sort of league persona, your ELO, your position preferences, and what server you're on, sorry. And you can find other players to build a team with. You can search people by, you know, what areas they do in their level of experience and find, you know, the right team for you. So it's really cool. There's quite a few people on it, and the website looks very nice and is well done. So if you're kind of one of those loner league players out there who doesn't really have a good community or team behind you, this is a good place to be. Go on and create a profile.
I'm probably going to sign up. I'm just going to see what.
Yeah,
I'm going to experiment with it and just sign up.
Right, and at the worst case scenario, I mean, there's players of all skill levels there. So if you want to kind of find a middle of the run sort of casual team that you at least know you can queue up for fives for, this gives you the tools to actually do that with some, you know, good level of success. So yeah,
Aight.
Good work, guys. Boots 3 Pots.
Yeah, congrats to you guys. I'm actually trolling through it a little bit right now to look for a potential 5 team. You know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, great. Go and check them out if you're listening to the cast. It's boots3pots.net.
All right, and YouTube video to be on your screen right now.
There we go.
What?
Moving on to Q&A with Renzler.
All right, Q&A with Renzler. Sorry, I interrupted your song. Go ahead.
It's so good.
All right.
It's like G.I. Joe.
Yes. That won't be released until March of next year because of reshoots, recuts, and they want to do it in 3D, which is going to be horrible.
Yep, and it's a terrible movie, and they should feel bad.
Definitely a rental for me.
Rental. That's funny,
I even have to watch. I have to watch bad movies because I try to write things. I like to watch movies. That way, I know what not to do. For example, casting Channing Tatum in anything. Anyway, so Q&A with Renzler. It's pretty straightforward stuff today. Today we're all talking about skinnage, how everybody looks, because apparently when Severity holds tournaments, we have what we call skin wars and who has the coolest looking skin. And on this topic, I'm getting the fire whatever it is Warwick skin today. I put my foot down.
Nice.
I put my foot down when I saw it on Monday. I was like, I have to buy that. So I'm getting that. Anyway, Motgnarom, what's your favorite skin?
I know it's a bit of a comp out, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Battlecast Cho'Gath, and I know he's not out yet, and I was disappointed to come home see that he wasn't there. but I'm totally willing to pay however much money he costs. I know it's an 1870 something like that skin, but it's worth it. I like what they're doing, what they did with the animations. He actually goes nom 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 when he uses his feast, and I scream that every time I use it, and it kills somebody anyway. So it's good that I'm now saying that with Cho'Gath.
That's awesome. Okay, Aliwicious, favorite skin.
Oh, favorite skin. In ideology, it's the Ezreal, Pulsefire Ezreal. I like
Yeah.
that it evolves. I think it was a really cool skin. In actuality, skin that I am most sad that I don't currently own just because I'm not so good with the champion, it's got to be Broloff. Brolof's just so good. The Graggy Ice?
Yeah.
Who says no to that?
And when we
Oh,
went to
God.
PAX, there was some awesome Broloff cosplay.
Yeah, there was. And they were dudes.
And mine is Firefang Warwick.
There you go. And you'll have
Okay,
him by the
so-
end of today.
Which skin makes you just want to puke all over your keyboard? Aliwicious, what's your least favorite skin?
Least favorite skin specifically. There's some really weird ones, but one that I'm not particularly a fan of is if you go and you look at Galio, I honestly do not think I believe it is Commando Galio. I don't know, something about it doesn't feel like it fits really well. I know that they wanted to have I think they finally rounded up to 5 Commando skins. I don't know, it's very weird. He's a gargoyle. He's wearing
That
pants
looks like Bruce Willis with green armor. It's like if Bruce Willis was
Yeah,
the Green
it's just-
Lantern.
I don't know. It's just really weird. Ever since I've seen it, I also don't think it warrants 975 by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Motgnarom, least favorite skin.
Ironically, it is one of the first skins I bought, and it's only because I had the extra RP from some promo event. Nightmare Cho'Gath. I think this is back from the time where the skins, a lot of them were just simple recolors, and that was enough because that was kind of par for the course. But Cho'Gath, literally, even the background art, it's just a hue change. Go from red to purple, and the background is now teal. And granted,
you do realize that's the image I put up on the
No,
YouTube
I know.
video, right?
I know, and that's if you see me in game and I'm playing Cho'Gath, that's what you're seeing. But I think it's from those early times where the recolors were unfortunately more often than not what kind of happened, and since then they've really upped their skin effort and made some really awesome skins, and I think that's one of the baddies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Aliwicious, the champion with the best skins, the whole total package.
The whole total package. There's some really weird ones, and I I don't even play the champions much. I really enjoyed Amumu's skins.
He does have some good ones.
He has, and just some of my top favorites by far. Number one for sure is the regifted Amumu, the one where he's in a little box. That's hilarious. It's the only skin that I'm sad that I didn't get, and I didn't
Poor
buy. And I
Amumu,
should've.
by the way.
Yeah,
They can't give
they
him
made
like
an
a
emo.
happy Amumu.
Yeah, and Little Knight, the Little Knight with oh my god, he's so cool looking.
Okay, Mr. Motgnarom, the champion with the best skins.
Vigar. Definitely.
Vigar is so good too.
His skins are so awesome. White. I was a huge Final Fantasy player. White Mage skin. I saw that. I own it actually. It was the best. Gandalf skin, even though
Yup.
the
Vigar
Gandalf
great.
skin? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Leprechaun Vigar, which is whatever. It's still cool looking. It's themed well. But then you get awesome ones like Baron von Vigar. Awesome
The villain one.
German crazy one, and then superb villain Vigar. It's perfect with his lore and just what he's all about, and it's the best. I mean, I know there are other Vigar skins out there, but it's just the best set.
Okay,
That's-
so which champion are you avoiding like the plague? The champion with the worst skins. Motgnarom, what do you got for me?
Pantheon in a real way. Real way. That was a mistake.
Derp.
In a weird way, Pantheon skins for me, they don't show enough variability. They never really change his look. They don't they just don't give me that visual like this is different. This is a different feel. It's a different character.
Right, engage me with something instead of opening file in Photoshop, hue, change the slider down a little bit. Okay, that's good. Hit
Weapons,
save.
the weapons are different, and the armor has some good variability, but it's just not enough for me.
I don't mind the full metal one. I think that's one of the few that I think is enough of a change that it looks cooler in game.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm no artist. I couldn't draw half of these champions. Period. Their original artwork.
I can do stick figures.
There we go. My criticisms come obviously with the grain of salt that I couldn't do this on my own. I just think over time they've really stepped up their art efforts, and when you've got stuff like Pulsefire Ezreal and Battlecast Cho'Gath coming out, how can you look at some of these older ones and be like, oh, yeah, I guess that's
they're horrible. Okay, Aliwicious.
One of them, and I'm actually surprised that more people have mentioned it. Eve not only is like a mediocre to bad champion and only recently getting fixed, her skins suck.
Yeah, they do.
Like just as a whole, they're not very good. They're not very creative. They don't really, and I'm sure it might be in part due to champion demand. If people aren't playing it, what's the expectation?
Yeah,
that people
why bother?
buy those skins, and I understand that. And I've heard that Riot has recently started picking up some more professional level artists. So I think that's why now we're
Instead of
starting
some
to see
kid
a
in his
lot of
basement with GIMP.
Right. Hey, GIMP is good.
GIMP is
simmer
way
down.
better than Photoshop.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so are you? I don't want to interrupt you, but if you're done, that actually segues us into the next question.
Are you next question? Yeah, we're good.
We're good? Okay. So the next question, based on your answer of Eve on how she's a pretty bad champion and the skins suck anyway, is she the champion you want to see for a total overhaul? And if not, who would it be?
No, actually, I wouldn't choose her because I don't play her that much. I don't play her enough that I think it needs to happen. One of the champions that I really think needs an overhaul, and it's most prevalent in game when you look the models and stuff, Sion. Sion's got a lot of really cool detail about him. Looking at like his lumberjack and the evil one, the warmonger Sion. He's a really cool champion, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to really give him some cool effects. And like right now, if you take a classic skin Sion, you take him into a game, look at his shoulder pads. Look at the axe. His axe is almost half the size of his champion and has the worst. Like it's not that impressive, and it's a big part of him. And I think that it would be nice to see some really full detail level Sion fixes.
All right. And Mr. Motgnarom, what champion deserves a total overhaul?
Art overhaul. I almost want to say Anivia. And
What?
I think Anivia's art is cool, and she has some of the best skins out there.
Hell yeah.
But I think just her model as it is, her plain model, and subsequently what she gets modeled off of, it could really use a bit of a tweak. There's a lot you could do with her spell effects, and there's a lot you could do with just the way she moves around the map to really improve, her character, especially her
Think so?
ulti. Especially her ulti. I think, given what I've seen with some of the other art overhauls, I think there's some major work that could be done there. And it's not to say that it's poor and that it's bad. I agree with you on Sion, certainly. Yeah, I would say her. And if not her, then Singed.
Okay, so I think it's a really great time to bring up some discussion about some skins. And I think that both of them being pretty recent, I think it's easy for people to kind of get behind how they felt on some of these releases. Comparing Ezreal, Pulsefire Ezreal, as one of the I believe at the time, the most expensive skins. I think this is, don't quote me on this, but I do believe that when he came out, his whole theme package was discounted to something around, I think, $16.75, maybe. And and now that we're seeing some bigger skins out there, when you go to the store and you look at some of those, the nicer skins and the newer skins, we're seeing prices that are pretty significant. I think we're seeing some 1800s kind of crazy level cost of these skins, and I think it's kind of funny. 1,800 riot points is wonder how much exactly that is. The easiest way to get 1,820 RP during a purchase, a sale purchase, has to be at least $15. Assuming that
Yeah.
you have no RP on your account, that's $15 right there. And I understand that they probably spend a lot of time working on these skins, and I do agree that they are notably better, and the quality of skins has definitely increased since the beginning of the game. My concern is that I think it's not too unrealistic to say that for $15, which is now the price that you're going to pay for some more well-known indie games and some of the not huge publisher type games coming out, that's almost another game. And I think that when you're paying $15 for a skin like that, I think it's reasonable to get some of the things like that were included with Ezreal. When I purchased the Pulsefire Ezreal, I wasn't a huge Pulsefire Ezreal fan. However, I do feel that the theme included, in addition to his skin, all new spell effects, all new animations. It was an evolving skin, the first of its kind. We had or have yet to see more of those. You got the really awesome skin, custom effects on every killing blow, a summoner icon, and I believe a banner, a profile banner. And to me, like that warranted that kind of money. That makes sense. There's no reason not to. But now we're paying that same price for, a single champion. And let's say that you're a player that's played a lot and doesn't really use a single champion or two champions, but you play maybe 10 or 15 of them. Like, how realistic is it for Riot to ask us to pay $15 for these skins? What do you guys think?
I don't think it's very realistic. $15 for a skin, that seems way too much. I mean, I don't know, I'd spend less than 10 unless it's a truly amazing skin. But if it's something like Pulsefire Ezreal, which is really a rework everything, it's like a package, not just a skin, that could be worth it, yes. But just a skin, like for example, the fire, whatever I'm getting for Warwick, basically right now, $15 for that, no.
Hell no.
I feel like, first of all, I mean, not that you guys don't, but I want to see Riot do well, and I want to support the free-to-play nature of the game and what it's provided to people, and I want to see that model succeed. And I think when you're running a free-to-play game, and especially a rapidly expanding free-to-play game where now you have increasing server costs and all this crazy stuff, and you're hiring more staff to kind of handle the big esports aspect of everything, and everything's really ramping up quickly. I think the way that you need to start generating revenue, other than like advertisements and stuff like that and promotional stuff, is through stuff like skin sales. And I want to know that when a theme comes out, that it's not just some hastily thrown together kind of crappy theme. I want to know that they took their time and made something really great and produced a really awesome looking theme. And in turn, you pay for that work, and people will pay for it. I think people in general will pay if they're a huge Cho'Gath fan. They're going to pay the $20 or whatever it is, like I will, for that skin.
Just as a quick stat, by the way, just as a sum to this, if one out of every 2 League of Legends players purchases one of these skins at some point, only one for only one champion, that's $240 million. Just like, and maybe that's a lot of money to me, but $240 million in addition to the amount that they make through ad revenue and stuff.
Right. Now, I think what we're going to start seeing out of Riot is sort of, and we've seen this cadence adjusted already, where when a new champion comes out, you get the one extra skin. That skin goes on sale for $9.75 post the champion being released, and the theme pack going away, or the bundle pack going away. And those are good quality skins at a good quality price. And then we're starting to see some of the legacy stuff come down to 520 and 390, and I think there are even some that are lower than that. 260 I'm seeing for Galactic Nessus. And I think that's pretty understandable. That's pretty good. But now you kind of have these older champions like Cho'Gath and like Mundo that are getting these really great, and I really can't say this with 100% certainty because Rageborn Mundo is 975. So that's obviously a lot cheaper. What
That's
I'll be
awesome.
interested what I'll be
Right?
interested to see, have we heard, confirmed nor denied that this Battlecast Cho'Gath is not a theme?
No.
It hasn't been mentioned like it was with the Ezreal.
Okay.
So
It's more than likely not.
safe to assume.
It's more than likely not a theme.
Yeah.
It is a major rework, though. It does affect all of the spells and abilities.
But only for him.
Correct.
We're not seeing any different death animations.
Correct.
Or at least they haven't.
Well, yeah, there are death animations that are different. He blows up.
Well, no, his death. Killing blows on other champions. His interaction with other champions.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that there's a certain level. I think they need to have a well-defined definition of what certain skins are. This is, I believe, going to be a legendary quote-unquote skin that comes out. And just to give some examples of some other legendary skins, you have Corporate Mundo, Gentleman Cho'Gath, Demon Blade Tryndamere, Nunu Bot. Really, really good skins that are out there. And they're at that high price. They're at that legendary, only available for a certain time, I think.
I don't know. I just think at that cost, I think we need to see more than just a skin.
Yeah.
Even if it's something silly like a summoner icon.
I'll agree. But I think the majority of the audience will pay for it. They like the art. They love the champion. It shows, I think, a little bit more dedication to the champion, unless you're some rich douchebag who just drops tons of money into League, which League loves you, Riot.
It doesn't make you a douchebag.
Well, okay, sure, it doesn't. But I guess a douchebag compared to me and my ability to buy all the skins and all the champions I want. But
I'll just buy $1,000 in RP and buy everything.
I kind of want to try Sejuani. Heard she's okay. Let me just buy her with RP. Why not? I've never bought it. I think I bought Leona with RP. But that's only because I got some from a promotion and I used that.
So I guess kind of a wrapping up to the whole skin thing. I think, from my opinion, I believe that we're at kind of a cross point here. I think either we need to see a different RP cost on some of these skins, or we need to see, we either see a different price or a different feature set, or in kind of a slightly different perspective on that, this might have some indication as far as Riot's RP system. And I know that the RP system hasn't really been touched a whole ton since it came out. The increments of buying RP are still kind of, I'd say, hit or miss in a really weird way. The usual cost we see of things, you don't see those increments being very easily purchasable from Riot. And I think maybe this either means that we change the skin, give more to us, change the cost, or in turn changing the cost by reformatting the way that RP bundles are purchased. I think those are three things that people should and could consider.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
My opinion, final thoughts, is that as long as the definitions are well defined, and a legendary skin means you're getting this level of stuff, a theme means you're getting this level of stuff, and then subsequent skins under that have all these definitions, and you're not selling a complete character rework for $975 and then another one for $1820. As long as that is scaled properly, whatever they want to set for their price, I know people will pay it, and it's up to the player to decide whether or not it's worth it.
Okay, well, moving on from our skin discussion here, we actually have a little thing that I put up on our document that says Nuggles from Legend Commentaries now actually has the 3-game setup on YouTube between Severity Gaming and ourselves. I believe this is from one of the last Zeke tournaments, And Nuggles wanted to watch some of our games live, be able to commentate, and stick that stuff up on YouTube. He wasn't able to do that, so what he did is we gave him video, the LOL replay file, and he did it himself and stuck it up on YouTube. So he's trying to help rep Severity Gaming. We're trying to help rep him as well, and simply just be networking in the League of Legends community and get things out there. So if you're watching on YouTube, we've got the link right there in the description because it's too long to stick in the video. And if you're on iTunes, youtube.com/severitygaming, and I believe Nuggles has a link now that I can use. And if you go to this page, if you go to this video, it'll obviously be in their description. I'll find a way to cross-link it so you can get to there from iTunes. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Nuggles.
And this guy has a ton of stuff too. It's not just our videos on there. He has almost 30,000 subscribers, which is crazy.
And like a couple million views, video views.
Oh
So
yeah, he's got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely bigger time than we are, and he's been out there for a while. More people know him, and he wants to help us out. He's been talking with Delacour because they're buddies, and we want to see what we can get going. So that's what he's been doing for us. Is he started out doing some commentaries for us.
Cool.
Nuggles.
All right, so
So
that's
go
what I've got.
check out Legend commentaries. Look at that. We fit in 2 communities in one
I
episode.
think it's youtube.com/legendcommentaries. I think that's his channel.
And so that is going to wrap up episode 7 for Instalock Mid. Thank you for listening in and watching on YouTube. We're here every week with your League of Legends news and communities and discussion. I am Motgnarom,
I am Renzler.
This is Aliwicious. Good night, everybody.
and we are signing out. Please leave some feedback. Leave comments on the YouTube channels. Check us out at Severity Gaming. Follow us at Twitter. Send me personally hate mail at Motgnarom at severitygaming.com.
I hate you, man.
We're always looking for
severitygaming.com. The address is on the YouTube video.
We're always looking for feedback, and we have started to receive a slow trickle of feedback. We had some awesome people on Reddit send us some great feedback, and we really take it into consideration. We really listen to what you guys have to say, and we're trying to do our best to kind of, make a better podcast for you guys to listen to.
So yes, if you mention things on Twitter, you mention things on Reddit, you type comments in YouTube, we read that stuff. We read everything. We have no life. We have plenty of time, and there's not that many of you out there, so we have all the time we need to read and really respond to everything.
But I have a life.
No, you don't. Not anymore.
That's the Matrix. Sorry.
And are you a member of the community that's doing great things to improve our great video game that we love so much? If you are and you want to come on the show and talk about who you are and what you do, just contact us. We're always looking for people to come on the show. Next week we'll be featuring a Winia from LOL Girls, and we may be seeing SMC Matt return for his 2nd episode if he has internet.
SMC man.
His Canadian internets are shutting him down right now, and he had a little bit of Twitter rage about it today. So,
oh wow,
we love to support our fans, and we love to support the other communities that we connect with. And I will broadcast the out of your stuff on Twitter all day. A hashtag, a mention. I am officially releasing you from the grasps of Instalock Mid.
Here, I got one. I got a really good one. Everyone remember, get in those games, Instalock Mid.